Hey everybody, welcome to episode 10 of This Song Fucking Sucks. Today's guest, comedian Ken Reid, has a new album coming out on Friday, May 20th, entitled The Vanity Project, Volume 1, Hollywoodland. I highly recommend it. I got an advance copy, and it is hilarious. You can also check him out at Kenneth W. Reid on Twitter, ikenreid.com. You can check out his podcast, TV Guidance Counselor, with new episodes every Wednesday. On Twitter, it's at TV Guidance and tvguidancecounselor.com. My good buddy Leonard Feingold with the Northern California Spasmatics are going to be at Stoney's in Sacramento on Friday, May 13th. Britannia Arms in San Jose, Friday, May 20th. And Pick 6 in Pleasanton on Saturday, May 21st. You can get my dusty old EP entitled This Is Not Here. iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, all that baloney. You can find me at jeffcalmback.com. I'll have all my gig dates and all sorts of other fun stuff. Nice pictures of me wearing clothes, doing things, playing that guitar. Facebook.com/JeffCalmback'sMusic, at JeffCalmback on Twitter. And for the show, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes. You'll find us This Song Fucking Sucks on iTunes with fucking spelled F********************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** You can also find us on Facebook, facebook.com/TSFnS, at TSFnSucks. We're on Google Play, which is kind of newish, I guess, that they have a podcast section on Google Play Music. And I don't know, we're pretty much everywhere else. Anywhere, I don't give a shit. You can also find a playlist for the show on Spotify and on YouTube. The playlist, This Song Fucking Sucks Official, which is going to have the subject songs, as well as This Song Fucking Jams, a pleasant alternative playlist, which will contain all the picks by the guests. Does she walk? Does she talk? Does she come complete? My homeroom angel always pulled me from my seat. Today we listen to Centerfold by J Geils Band. This song fucking sucks. Hi, Ken.
Hey, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks so much for being on the show. Do me a favor.
Yeah.
For any of my people who haven't heard your show, TV Guidance Counselor, tell them what it's about.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a very bad childhood, so I was incredibly obsessed with TV Guide, and so I used to pay for my own subscription every week. I have pretty much every TV Guide from 1965 till about 2000. I always joke that I don't care about anything made after 2000, including people. But that's not totally true. So I have them in this big spinning rack in my house, and someone comes, they pick a TV Guide, an old TV Guide, they sit down, they write down what they would watch that week from a TV Guide week, which is Saturday to Friday, which is what I used to do. They hand me the TV Guide, they have their list, and then we talk about their choices. Is kind of the purest form of the show. Sometimes it ends up being more of just a kind of a straight interview with people who are on a lot of the things that we watched growing up. But that's kind of the basic format of it.
Very entertaining show. I highly recommend it.
Oh, thank you.
You have a CD coming out?
I do.
Or an audio thing of your comedy?
Yeah, I guess it's a recording of some sort. Yeah, I have an album coming out on May 20th called The Vanity Project, Volume 1, Hollywoodland. And so I recorded that at the Nerdist showroom at Meltdown Comics out in LA. And yeah, that should be fun. It's an hour of me talking nonsense.
Yeah, and a place everyone should visit, the Nerdist showroom at Meltdown.
Oh, absolutely.
It's delightful.
It's great, for sure.
Today we're talking about J Geils' Centerfold.
Yes.
Which I'm delighted that you chose this one. It's, to me, not the worst song we've done. It's not one where I would say I want to take an ice pick to my ear. But at the same time, there are many questionable things about this that I'd love to address.
Yeah, it's a competent song. Like it's fine enough.
Yes.
But I think that, especially for me growing up around here and the J Geils Band being like a Boston institution, it has a lot more baggage than it might for other people.
Definitely.
So that sort of that sort of weighed in on my choosing that particular song.
Boston comes up a lot in the show because I usually have like a co-host, a buddy of mine from college, and he's a Massachusetts guy, and we both went to college in Boston, so it just comes up a lot. So
I'm so sorry.
So Centerfold, the first thing that hits me about this song, the biggest issue I have, is the music in this is completely an Irish jig. So what the shit is that about?
Yeah, it's what I would call a party song.
It's a party song.
Normally, songs that are about lamenting the loss of someone's innocence shouldn't have na-nas in them.
It sounded like he found a pot of gold.
Yeah.
And he wants to fuck a leprechaun.
Yeah, totally. Like a Dropkick Murphys song.
Yes. And when they do it, it makes sense.
Yeah.
The way they do it and the way J Geils Band does it is very, very different.
Yes,
Yes.
And a little bit about J Geils Band, weirdly, is that Peter Wolf was the big FM radio DJ here in the 70s on WBCN.
Okay.
Whenever someone does like a 70s parody DJ who's all like, zow, zibbity zappin, dibbity dap bow bow.
Right.
He is basically what they're doing.
Yes.
And that's what he used to do.
The puker.
Exactly.
The
whoa, bow. Big old stacks of black shellac coming at you top of the hour here. That kind of, but not even that tasteful.
How can we make this worse?
Exactly. Like if David Lee Roth wasn't big enough for people.
This is like Lucky Charms level Irish jig.
Yeah.
As opposed to like Dropkick Murphys. Is there some background with J Geils Band where they're like, oh yeah, we're Irish too or something? Or is that just coincidental?
So they were just like a straight up blues band before Peter Wolf was even in the band. They were around for years before he joined. And he was just literally a radio DJ on BCN and then started singing for the band, and they became kind of more of this party band.
Interesting.
You can kind of understand what his influence on the band was and I don't wish this upon you, but if you ever listen to his solo stuff, like Lights Out, Come Out, Dance, 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 like all that kind of stuff, that's basically the pure Peter Wolf right there.
Yeah, that makes sense. That is definitely the part that's going on here. And you can hear the blues band background of that. Like, oh yeah, these guys totally played that kind of stuff. Kind of have a little bit of a bar band vibe with a guy coming in and going, hey, let's take this and water it down some.
Oh, exactly. Can we make this whiter?
And they totally did.
It's like an edgy Huey Lewis.
I like Huey Lewis.
Yeah.
I feel like as schlocky as he had it, like, they were smoking.
Yeah.
Here's the question. Who did more blow? Because that could be the deciding factor.
Huey Lewis.
Yeah, I think he did more blow than most of North America.
Well, I think he probably did just based on the volume of money he had to spend. Like, he probably didn't even want to. He was just like, I have too much money and I need to get rid of it somehow.
Yeah.
So I better develop a cocaine habit. But I'm going to gather that Boston in the 1980s, that J Geils Band really would have given him a run for his money.
I'm thinking so.
Especially if you factor in 70s radio DJ in the band.
Yeah, exactly. So he's getting it from multiple places,
Yeah. Oh, totally. He's his own payola machine.
So was he still on the radio when he was doing the band? Was he like playing his own record?
No, he was off by then. And BCM is a really interesting kind of station because they were weirdly sort of a pioneer in a lot. Like, they were the first station to play the Cars, and they had this famous program director named Oedipus who was on the line between being like really innovative and then also still playing like Zeppelin and the Doors. But they were the first station in America that played the Police and like stuff like that. So it was really kind of a weird station. And they were one of the big first sort of freeform FM stations, which is when Peter Wolf was there. And I think he left by about 1980.
Was BCN the one that was over by the park, or is that FNX?
That was on Beacon Street. Yeah, FNX was up in Lynn. That's where I used to work.
Right.
You literally had to walk through a gauntlet of prostitutes to get to FNX. And if you did not want to purchase their services, they would just try to mug you.
They're going to get your money either way, so you might as well get something out of it.
Exactly.
Like an STD.
Exactly.
I loved BCN. There was a moment there where you could listen to like a rock radio station and hear music that was not horrible.
Yeah, totally. And then they ended up getting bought by, I think it was Clear Channel, who kind of while you were in college and when I was in college, by the end had turned it into kind of like a rap rock family values station.
Right.
And it really went downhill from there. But Yeah, for a shining moment, I mean, they really did some interesting stuff over there. Same with FNX. If a college rock band could do a good record on a major label, they were the radio equivalent of that.
Yeah, I mean, I heard Blue for the first time on the local radio station, and was like, whoa, this is like a guy who's just around and like,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
amazing.
BCN was really good about sort of shining the light on local bands, which they did play a lot of J Geils Band, and they did play a lot of Boston in the Cars.
Well, I don't mind that. I don't mind that as much as this.
Yeah, yeah. This song is really egregious, and I am not a fan of this band. I actually did a show with probably 90% of the J Geils Band a couple months ago.
Oh, really?
How's this for a lineup? It was me, the J Geils Band. It was everybody except Peter Wolf, so the drummer sang,
Interesting.
and Andrew WK. That was the lineup.
Well, that's a party, isn't it?
Yeah, it was very strange. They did play Centerfold.
Of course. Did Andrew WK come out while they did it?
No, he was.
That would have been pretty amazing.
Yeah, I think he was getting in the party mode
Right.
upstairs.
He was breaking blood vessels in his nose.
Yeah, he did say one of the funniest things I've ever heard anyone say on stage, though, that night. He said, "I'm going to party this keyboard into submission."
That's amazing. He's pretty awesome. He is
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Behind all of the weird Lucky Charms sound of everything, mildly misogynistic.
Yeah, I think so. So it's a story song. If there's
It
anyone
is.
out there who hasn't heard this song, congratulations. But it basically, yeah, it says there was a girl who was kind of hot in high school that I didn't talk to, and now I'm looking at her naked in a magazine. And I can never really tell if he's happy about that or sad about that. It seems like he's happy about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think most people would kind of take that stance, but at the same time, you know, at the end he'll say like, "I hope that when this issue's gone, I'll see you when your clothes are on."
Yeah, but that's kind of like, hey,
Right.
I'd like to date you. Now that I've seen you naked, I've reconsidered you, and I'd like to take you out.
So before it was like, I don't know, she's really hot and all, but I don't know, I could probably do better.
Yeah, yeah, and I like that he just calls it a girly magazine. So
That's
we don't
pretty
know.
funny.
Yeah, we don't know how classy or not classy this spread is either. Like,
Yeah.
like, is it Playboy or is it like Butts Up magazine? I don't know if that's a real magazine, but you know, the real under the counter stuff.
Yes, the completely black plastic behind the purveyor of gasoline. Is he going like, "That's some fine lab you got there"?
Yeah, yeah. I
That's,
mean, how much we see in here? Classy. I mean, that really changes everything. Like,
It
you know, people who have
does.
been in Playboy. Like, although Playboy does not show nudity now, I really find that for the most part, most of their layouts were less sleazy than like a Maxim magazine.
That's true. That is very
Max-
true. That's an
It
interesting
was so
point.
weird. The only difference was nipples. Maxim
Yeah.
magazine was like, but we didn't show nipples.
Yeah,
I was like, yeah, this made me feel dirty.
but then Playboy would just make everyone look like a porcelain doll.
Right.
It was like a painting of flesh.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Penthouse was showing peeing.
Well, you gotta see what the market wants.
That's true.
It could have been that. I mean, that's a whole different song.
Yeah, I kind of want to hear the song where she was taking a dump on some dude's chest, and he's just like, "Oh, well, this is fascinating."
Yeah. I mean, I do know some people who went to high school with girls who ended up being in the sex industry later.
Yeah.
And I think everyone probably does in a weird way.
Yeah, I don't know of anybody, but I know people who have. You know, they get the call like, "Check out Bang Bus, bro."
Yeah, Tina's on it. Yeah.
Honestly, I can't help feeling like that would be a depressing moment.
Oh,
you know?
totally. I was talking to some friends of mine the other day, and they were very preoccupied with their phones because someone that they had gone to high school with was doing pornography now, and her real name was the most porn actress name I've ever heard in my life. Her last name was Calendar, which I've never heard of.
No way.
Yes, and I was like, that's her real name. Her pornographic name was less porn sounding than her real name.
Someone has a destiny.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes you just have a calling, and you have to answer that phone.
In that sense, I guess you gotta go, well, good for her. She found her niche, and at least
Yeah.
she found it.
And someone found hers.
Oh, nasty.
The J Geils Band outlook on relationships is very weird to me, because if you combine this with their other sort of contemporary song of this time, Love Stinks,
That's right.
you know, it paints an odd picture.
Yeah, he definitely has some mommy issues.
I still see him all the time.
Really?
Yeah, he is. I hosted the Boston Music Awards in 2006, and they told me to just make fun of everybody who wasn't there. And so I was fairly good natured. Like Dropkick Murphys, who were friends of mine, weren't there, and I said that they couldn't be there because they were over in Ireland trying to help the Irish be Irish again, something like that. And then Peter Wolf, I said, I got to meet Peter Wolf, which was fantastic because I thought he was dead, but I didn't think that till after I met him. He looks like the corpse of Rick Ocasek.
Jesus. So he went gaunt instead of like blowing up balloon style.
Oh, yes. Yes. He looks like a dehydrated human.
He looks like the Crypt Keeper.
Yes.
There's a couple of weird things in here that are very 80s kind of sense of sexiness.
Yes.
Like I was thinking about her dress.
Yeah.
I think that's such an 80s thing,
I would put that in the category of high heels and bikini.
Right.
It's that kind of 80s sexy.
Very much so. I don't discuss dresses with any other dudes in this sort of way.
No, if you're being a lech, dresses do not come up.
No, it's what's shown by the dress that's more important.
Yes.
Unless we're talking about patterns and cuts and that looks like a high quality item.
Yeah, like she's got some money. She's got a general sense of style.
That's
I
right.
suspect that with Peter Wolf, it was because it scans well and it was a lazy rhyme rather than him having an obsession with dresses. But he's such an odd guy. It very well could be that he's just into dresses.
That's true. Maybe he likes to wear them at home.
It's possible.
Look
Hey, lights out. Come
That's
on,
right.
dance.
Yeah, the old lazy rhyme. If I could tell you how much that came up in this show, it would be a lot.
There's two, I think, cardinal sins in music that I think of without having any musical training. So I know there's probably another one that's like, you used the divorced fifth of the I don't know the jargon. But
I like your jargon, though.
Thank you. My two big ones are lazy rhyming and songs about songs, which I also have as songs about being in a band. Both of those things really irk me. Like, that's why I wrote you a song, or that's why I'm singing this song. I hate that so much.
That's a major no-no. Well, they tell you when you're in like high school and you're writing an essay, do not refer to the essay in the essay.
Exactly.
That's like cut your hands off kind of mistake.
But a lot of people do it.
They do. And then, yeah, the road song.
Yeah.
On a dark, desperate highway, somewhere Omaha.
The favorite being Journey's. Say that the road is no place to raise a family. And he calls it Under the Big Top. That's the worst part.
We're all sad clowns.
Hey, man, it's just a rock and roll circus.
It really is.
So I used to be in a punk rock band in the 90s. Lost 30 Seconds Over Tokyo. We started with Dropkick Murphys, played with bands like Avail and the Suicide Machines and stuff like that. But we played a show at this British band called the Toy Dolls. The singer told me the only good record any band ever puts out is their first record.
Yeah,
reason being they have a lifetime of experiences that they're drawing from to write from. Yep. And then every record after that, it's like 6 months or a year or whatever. Yep. And I don't totally agree because I don't think that's a universal truth. But I think that's mostly true because once people, especially if they're successful, start writing songs about their lifestyle that has nothing to do with regular people, you start getting songs about being on the road and being in a band.
Yeah, I was just discussing that with a coworker yesterday because we were listening to Primus and he's playing all this like later Primus and I'm like, dude, Frizzle Fry, man. Frizzle Fry sees a cheese, you know?
It's a real person.
And they had 10 years to write those, 2 records and perfect them and perform them live over and over again and really find the meat. And there's less filler in those records. Then you hit Pork Soda and it's like there's 2 songs on there.
Yeah.
And then 45 minutes of fucking around.
Yep.
And that's what happens is, you have, your entire career to write that first record and hone. You have time to hone. And then it's like, the label needs a record. So, I don't know, shit something out in the studio.
Yeah, and I think there's like a hunger, too, where a lot of people go,
oh, yeah.
I'm only going to do one record. Like, it's weird that I get to do a record. I'm going to make this the best thing ever because it's the only thing I'm ever going to do. And then meanwhile, 13 records later, it's like, oh yeah, whatever.
Smart label people, when they're putting together playlists for that first record, they'll go, don't put that one out.
Yeah, save it.
Save that one for the second one. You need a hit.
And so it's always weird to me when you get a band like J Geils Band that's essentially sort of a blues bar band for a decade, and then get a new singer and really are not the same band at all, but are kind of pumping out this lazy bar band stuff in a very 80s way now.
Yeah.
I wonder, what does he think that song really says something, or do they look at him and go, yeah, I don't care, it's just some dumb song?
Yeah, I think there's something like, whatever gets us out of this shitty bar.
Yeah. It's funny because growing up, I had a real aversion to any sort of party rock. I was always into, as far as 80s stuff went, I was a punk rock guy, but I loved like weird, cold synthesizer stuff, and all the sort of classic rock type stuff just really rubbed me the wrong way. But I've, in the last couple of years, really grown to have a real appreciation for Van Halen.
Fuck yeah.
And when I compare the J Geils Band to Van Halen, it's shocking that they literally are contemporary. Like, they basically started at the same time and are kind of navigating the same exact pool of influences and topics.
True.
But it seems sincere and innovative and so much better when a band like Van Halen does. It seems new when you hear it, J Geils doesn't. It seems like, yeah, okay, I think I've heard this before.
Definitely.
But not in a good way. Not in a good way where you're like, oh yeah, this sounds like I've always known this song.
Yes. Like, wait, this isn't 70 years old?
We're writing a song for other bands to cover at weddings.
Holy shit. That is so real.
Okay, a little too real.
A little too close to home. I would actually like to meet the guy who's out there now, because there always is, who's still diehard, like, yeah, this is my jams, bro. I am like J Geils till I die.
Well, if you'd like to come visit me, we can just go knock on some doors in my neighborhood. Probably find 35 of them, because I go to a lot of like record shows and stuff around here, and inevitably, one of the guys from J Geils will be at that show, and there are diehards with stacks of records wanting them signed and talking about, Centerfold specifically.
Really?
Oh, big time. Big time. My dad is a music fan, and when I was growing up, he used to make these mixtapes that he would call, his name is also Ken Reid, he would call the Ken Reid Collection of Modern Music.
Yes.
And he would do like DJ intros in between, and he wouldn't copy them for people. They were literally just for him.
That's amazing.
It was like a thing he used to do. And so he didn't really know how to talk to me about life lessons. So he would try to teach me things as a kid via playing me these songs. So, one of them obviously being Cats in the Cradle. I think most dads probably did that. But Centerfold was the other one. And I must have been, 5 or 6, maybe 7 years old. And he's like, yeah, listen to this one. Learn from it.
Learn what?
Exactly. I literally remember turning to him. I was like 8 years old, and I was like, you want me to do it with girls in high school? Like, I really don't understand what the lesson is here, man. He's like,
there's nothing about doing it in this song, this is all just basically voyeurism.
I guess there might be an element of, wow, I didn't talk to her in high school because maybe I wrote her off, and now I'm looking at her tatas and they're amazing. I should have hit that in junior year. I don't know if he thought that's what the message was, but very confusing.
Maybe he thought it was about like leprechauns or something.
He may have. He is really into alien conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
So he may just fold it all in like leprechauns are real. They're actually fourth dimensional aliens.
And most of the centerfolds in porno mags are in fact leprechauns in disguise.
Let's take this a different direction. I think maybe we're really discounting the not theology, but the science behind this song. MIT is also located in Boston. It may be about the centerfold of the universe being a black hole in the center of the universe where it folds in upon itself. And he's actually using the nudity as a metaphor for the nakedness of mankind.
Well, I think we blew that wide open.
Or it could just be about how he's glad he saw boobs.
He's furiously beating off in the bathroom of the gas station that he works at.
That's the other thing that bothers me about this, is that it implies it's a song about him whacking it to a girl from high school.
which is a truth about humanity.
It's one of those things we don't need people to tell us about.
Probably not.
Like now, like if we wouldn't write this song because we're tasteful human beings.
More or less.
But if somebody did, now it would basically be about looking at your vacation photos on Facebook. Or something like that, you know? It would be
amazing.
Like family Bermuda vacation bikini. No.
That song needs to happen.
It should. It really should.
And then negligee. Negligee. Is that a thing anymore? I hope not.
I think it is. I think Fredericks of Hollywood still does negligees. But at this time, by the 1980s, when we're talking about underwear and songs, we had moved so far past the negligee. Like if you look at the Prince Camp and the Flight Time group, they're talking about camisoles. It's all camisoles.
That's
negligees in the 1980s, you might as well have been talking about war bonds.
I would like to replace that with crotchless underwear.
Yeah, or just like edible panties.
Yes. I'm assuming they're basically just fruit roll-ups, right?
Yeah, I think so.
That's nasty. That seems like you get a weird paste going on.
Yeah, I'd like to have some sort of 2020 expose where they find out that the Fruit Roll-Ups Corporation actually has a shell company that makes those edible underwear out of like scraps from the fruit roll-up process. And then a whole story about how the guy was like, guys, I have a genius idea what we should do with these.
That's smart business plan. It's like using all of the buffalo.
Yeah, and especially who's going to say anything about it? Because someone who buys edible underwear isn't going to go, wait a minute, these are just fruit roll-ups. I'm going to go to the media because they implicate themselves by saying, I bought edible underwear. It's genius.
I mean, maybe there's someone out there who it's just a comfort factor. Like, this is how I feel comfortable. It's just, I like the cuts. It doesn't ride in certain places.
You could maybe market it to survivalists. You're like, if you're trapped somewhere, you'll always have these.
Then you'll be like dangling, but that's the survivalist life.
Yeah, you have a full stomach.
Or at least something to keep your blood sugar from plummeting.
Well, then, hey, let's market it to diabetics. What if we found out all diabetics were issued edible underwear in case they needed them?
There's that moment where the blood sugar just goes and then, quick, take my pants down.
Yeah, that's what it says on one of those first alert bracelets. Please shove my underwear in my mouth.
In case of emergency.
We just made so much money.
Yeah, we got to make sure to market that, get a copyright on that before this goes out.
Yeah, totally.
Why has his memory just been sold? What the shit does that mean?
So that part is the regretful piece where he's like, I had this beautiful vision of her as a sweet, wholesome girl, and now I'm looking at her hoo-ha. But he takes no blame in this. Because he's like, hey, I've always been a bad guy. I expect this sort of behavior from me. But I thought better of her.
Pure like snowflakes. No one could ever stain.
Have you ever seen the movie Date with an Angel?
I do not believe I have.
1987, stars Phoebe Cates. It is about a man, a literal angel, a Judeo-Christian angel, falls from the sky into his swimming pool in the form of a hot, naked blonde lady who he has an affair with.
That's questionable.
It's basically Splash with an angel.
Right.
That just puts in context the kind of use of the word angel in the 1980s.
Yeah. They didn't think that through.
No. Aerosmith's Angel out at that time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a good song, actually.
I do enjoy that song.
It's pretty. What is with that mustache? That's the most heinous part of him right now, is the mustache.
I think it's just nature's way of warning people to stay away from him.
Yeah, it is very, like, pederast.
If you compare those two songs, though, I'm pretty sure they didn't write Angel. Maybe they did. But
I think it was one of those ones that had, what was that guy's name? He helped with Dude Looks Like a Lady.
Oh, yeah.
Shit. You know the guy who like, co-wrote every song ever.
Yes, yeah. Mutt Lange.
Not Mutt Lange.
And it's not Holly Knight. She did a couple with him.
It's the other guy. Shit. He was one of those guys. He's just like, he was the big guns, like Desmond Child.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, he's like hired gun songwriter dude from that era, at least.
But if you look at two sort of 70s holdover Boston blues rock bands handling of the topic of angels in the 1980s and compare Aerosmith's Angel with J Geils Band Centerfold, you really sum up all the issues with that song right there.
It could have been something.
Yeah.
And it was not.
My homeroom angel.
I know why he has to say it twice, but it bothers me that he says it twice.
Yeah.
Find another word. Find a different word.
My sexy homeroom. Any two-syllable
Sexy,
word
there
would
you
have
go.
worked. Yeah.
See?
Yeah. My sweet little, he could have fit in there if he,
My sweet little
fudged it a little.
homeroom. Absolutely.
I mean,
Absolutely. An adjective. An adjective
anything.
of some sort.
Get this man some Mad Libs for his own lyrics. While you're looking, speaking of Huey Lewis, I own a very valuable piece of Huey Lewis legacy in my house that I'm looking at right now.
What is that?
It's an old ad, a Christmas ad for ordering your Christmas hams. It's a big 1940s cardboard ad, and I bought it at this antique store in New Hampshire, and the lady who sold it to me goes, "That's from a very famous person." And I went, "Who?" She goes, "Huey Lewis's grandmother." So apparently this belonged to Huey Lewis's grandmother.
And this lady you bought it from was Jewish?
I think so.
Huey Lewis's grandmother.
Grandmother. Yes.
Is she famous for something independent of Huey, or is it just this?
No, this woman was like, I live next door to them, and he would mow her lawn sometimes.
And sell my kid blow.
Exactly. And harmonicas.
Harmonicas. Did you have an angel in your homeroom?
I didn't. I think I maybe had like one or two crushes in my high school, none of which had a last name that was within 3 letters of my last name.
And none of whom ended up in the pages of a girly magazine?
No, nobody. There were some girls after my class who ended up as like Maxim Magazine's hometown hotties, but nobody that I'm aware of in my graduating class.
This day and age, because it's all on the internet and there's so much of it and it's just completely saturated, it's not a thing like, oh, this is Miss July. This is, appointment masturbating.
Totally.
There's a bazillion 18-year-olds who are just sad and going to be disappointed with their choice.
Well, the other thing is, too, that we always had rumors. There were always certain teachers who people would be like, she was a Playboy Playmate, which they most certainly were not. It was fairly easy to confirm then, but now you can confirm in seconds. And I went and did the research as like a high schooler to prove to them that she was not a Playboy Playmate. They still didn't believe me. And there are kids now that I know people who work at Playboy who can confirm who all the people who appeared in the magazine were. And they still don't believe me that this woman was not in Playboy. But the other thing is that I think that, back then, like when Centerfold came out, back to the edible underwear thing, there is some sort of like personal incrimination of you having seen it. So there's almost like a badass thing of like, I'm the guy who saw her in there. But now if you're like, hey, I saw Tina, she's in porn now, you could say that to your mother and she would be like, oh, okay. No one would ever be like, why were you watching that now?
Yeah, it basically comes to you.
Yeah, totally.
I was looking for baking recipes and there's her fucking snatch.
Yeah, absolutely. It came, I just opened my email and it popped up.
I think we talked about this song for about 5 minutes and talked about other stuff the whole time.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Which is awesome. Really, honestly, I could give two shits about this song.
It's a bad song.
But I think we also hit up a lot of the key points. Right now, I kind of want to turn the page, go to my other segment. This is called This Song Fucking Jams, a pleasant alternative. And this is the part of the show where we pick out a song that's been on our minds, a song that we've been jamming to lately, something that's like, oh, this song is a song that's making me feel really good right now. So have you given any thought to that?
I have. I've been stuck on, like I was talking about earlier, I kind of dismissed all like the new wave of British heavy metal stuff along with Van Halen and all that kind of thing.
Right.
And I've discovered that I absolutely love the band Angel Witch.
Oh, cool. Right on.
And their titular song, Angel Witch, by Angel Witch from the album Angel Witch, is such a great song and is really stands out among all that stuff and doesn't sound too dissimilar from a lot of the like 90s punk rock that I was into as a teenager. And that song is one of those songs that I'll just listen to over and over and over again.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because it's at that kind of root of that music. Early on, before it started getting really technical, America picked up on the new wave of British heavy metal and kind of started adding lots of baloney to it.
Oh, yeah.
The stuff that came over originally. Closer to what we think of as punk than...
Yeah, it's very similar to like a song like Ignite by The Damned, which is one of my favorite Damned songs.
Yeah.
It's such a great song. But they're
Great
very,
band.
they're kind of like they make a good song double feature, if that's a thing.
It should be. Make it happen.
It should
Make
happen.
it happen.
Yeah,
That's a
absolutely.
great choice. That's very cool.
Oh, thank you.
I'm going to go with earlier I had a student and she brought in her acoustic guitar, wanted to do something acoustic-y.
Mm-hmm.
And because it feels so spring out, it's been a lovely couple of weeks here in the Bay Area, and it's time to start listening to some spring music. Something made me think, you know what, we should do Rain Song by Led Zeppelin.
Okay.
Which is so gorgeous. Such a beautiful thing to play. It's as amazing as it is to listen to, it's 10 times more amazing to play. Because it's got that unique open tuning, and it just jangles for days. And the voicings are so inspiring. Every time I get a chance to spend 10 minutes retuning the guitar and play it, it just feels so right.
Right.
It's a great tune because it's not the muscular Zeppelin that we think of.
It's not the Zeppelin that birthed Whitesnake.
Exactly. This is the pensive, the pastoral Zeppelin, if you will.
The Wicker Man Zeppelin.
By the way, my favorite line from that movie, from, of course, the original, because...
Yeah, the other one doesn't exist.
Not in my life, is when they're going around to all the people's houses and, like, checking for the lady, and the guy, this is my costume. I'm the fish of luck.
Yeah. I can't say Jesus Christ without going, Jesus Christ. Oh, Jesus Christ! Like, because of the end of that movie, and my wife does not like it.
Every time.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it is that ethereal... This one is not particularly token-inspired, but definitely from that land of...
It's very Mayday pagan-y.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Very much so. The maypole and possibly some weird kind of magic sacrifice kind of thing. But,
so to tie it all together, it's the complex, multi-layered Celtic instead of the Lucky Charms Celtic of Centerfold.
Very much so. Very much so. Going back to the original Celtic, not the repurposed General Mills version.
Green fields, not green beer.
Brilliant. Layers of 12 strings, just the Mellotron. Dear God, the Mellotron. Two favorite things about the Mellotron. First of all, being the story that John Paul Jones always told, is that, as you may know, the Mellotron being the original synthesizer.
Yeah, it's tape loops, right?
And it's tape loops. So when they were using it live and they had the lights going, it would expand the tape sometimes. So he would always say a little prayer before he had to play it because you never know what it would sound like.
This reminded me, I don't know why, have you ever seen the Rickenbacker Light Show guitar?
No.
Oh, dear God, you should look this up. It was produced very briefly in the 70s, and it is a clear body Rickenbacker that has lights built into the body that basically what an LED thing would do now, that change as you play.
That's spectacular.
In the weirdest, most 70s way. They're pretty amazing.
That's awesome. My shoulder hurts just listening to that.
Oh, yeah. I bet it weighs 700 pounds.
Dan Armstrong's, where the big Lucite guitars are just obscenely heavy.
Yeah.
Then put some lights in there.
Some 70s lights.
Yes.
We're talking analog, solid-state lights.
Pre-LED.
That probably get real fucking hot.
The grounding issues alone, it probably sounds like...
Yeah, if you don't get shocked every 4 seconds.
In the 70s, I think that was a thing. That was just what you did.
Yeah.
They didn't have the ground pin. Who gives a shit?
Who needs it? Yeah, it's rock and roll, man.
You've seen Almost Famous where he zaps himself because he grabs the microphone.
Oh, yeah.
Going back to the Mellotron, I didn't realize, this is a new thing for me, is that I didn't realize the tape loops are like records. They're round and they rotate. I don't know where I saw that on the internet somewhere. I thought they were like a cassette tape where you just take it and you loop it around and you tape it and it's infinite.
Like an 8-track or like a radio card.
Yeah, like a reel-to-reel, something like that. Or if you ever look at the old tube delays, You know, that's what they are. They're just a tape that goes around that's, you know, infinite.
Have you ever seen the CED home video format?
No.
So CED discs predated VHS and Laserdiscs, and it's actually movies on vinyl. And so you see them at like thrift stores and things now these days, and you would put this whole sort of cartridge in the machine, and then inside the machine, the vinyl would slide out, and it's a video that plays off a round vinyl disc. And every time you play it, it degrades a little bit.
As any good analog thing should.
Indeed.
There's probably a sweet spot when it's brand new. It's a little too cold.
You got to break it in a little.
You got to break it in a little, but there's that little point where it just goes past that into warbly and crackly.
It's a lot like love.
Which we learned all about from J Geils Band.
Exactly. I wonder if anyone's used a J Geils Band song as their first dance song, or quoted J Geils lyrics in their vows.
Or at a funeral during the eulogy.
That makes sense. I mean, I've done that. I went, does she walk? Does she talk?
Not anymore.
Yeah. She truly is a homeroom angel. I always kind of hoped that the Heights song, How Do You Talk to an Angel, was an answer song to this J Geils Band song.
Wow, the Heights. I totally remember that shit. Fox?
Oh, yeah.
You know, I love how there's the one guy, he's the guitar player, he's moody or whatever, some shit like that. And he's always playing alone in his warehouse loft.
Oh, yeah, man.
Now I just think, how does he afford that rent?
Yeah.
The playing alone in the dark. To me, that's just like high school. I'm going to go to the waterfall and play my guitar.
Yeah, man, I'm just going to be. It's like I'm a huge fan of The Crow, being my age and general demeanor. But in the movie, there's that scene where he's just like on the roof shredding.
Yep.
I'm just going to play out my rage alone on the rooftops.
Not going to lie, when he did it, it was kind of awesome.
It was, but if you go back, that's like the one part of that doesn't hold.
Yeah. I think we've said more than you could possibly say about Centerfold and life in general.
I feel like just before we go, I have to respect the Boston area. I have to give you a quick counterpoint in the character of someone who probably loves that song. Just to be fair and show you the other side, they would probably be like, I don't know, it's a pretty fucking awesome song. And that would probably be their whole argument. Fucking Centerfold?
I'm bummed JP, my co-host, could not make it today. And I think he does half the show with the accent.
Yeah.
It would have been fun to have that dueling on here. I'm terrible at it.
Well, that's good. That means that you have elocution and good diction, and you were educated.
I kind of got a little New York thing, so slightly. You know.
That's okay. When you were raised here, it's very difficult to force yourself to speak like a real human being.
It is. So you've got your album coming out pretty soon. I think you said May 20th.
May 20th. Yep, Friday, May 20th. You can pre-order it wherever digital music is sold. I will also have physical copies with some weird limited edition stuff with it.
You got TV Guidance Counselor.
TV Guidance Counselor. We have new episodes every single Wednesday. I got some great episodes coming up with musicians. And I got a big, super huge mystery guest for my 150th episode, which is coming up soon, that I'm incredibly excited about.
As am I. Not even knowing what it is,
yeah.
I'm excited to find out what it is.
I think you'll like it.
And then website, Twitter, all that baloney.
Yep, I'm at Kenneth W. Reid on Twitter, or the podcast is at TV Guidance. My comedy website is iKenReid, IKenReid.com, and you can pre-order all my stuff there, or the website for the show is tvguidancecounselor.com.
Spectacular. That is appointment listening for everybody out there.
Thank you.
If you haven't checked it out, please do. I think I'm going to wrap this up. For Ken Reid and J Geils Band, I'm Jeff Kallenbach. Don't let the man get you down.
The salmon of knowledge.